Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for this meeting to discuss the Orchard Park Neighborhood Traffic Calming Project. My name is Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm the Mid-Beach Neighborhood Affairs Coordinator and your host for tonight's meeting. I want to introduce members of city staff that will be leading the discussion for everyone on here tonight. We have our Assistant Director from the Transportation and Mobility Department, Othniel Rodriguez, the project manager for this project, Franklin Bartley Jr., as well as Ghassan Shwari, who is the Senior Transportation Engineer. Representing Lochner, which is our project consultant team, is Alain de Quesada, Carlos Fernandez, and Rolando Herrera. I also finally want to welcome some of our elected officials and those that have joined us on our mayor commission side. We have Jacqueline Budin, who is the aide to Commissioner Kristen Rosen Gonzalez. And seeing no one else that I have to introduce, I'm going to turn it over now to Franklin to walk us through tonight's presentation. Franklin?
Thank you, Gabriela. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Franklin Bartley Jr. I am the project manager for the Transportation Department. I'm excited to discuss this Orchard Park Neighborhood Traffic Calming Project with you all. So this meeting right here is an opportunity for us all to go over the project scope and explain the pros and improvements and ultimately receive public input and feedback. So to keep things a little bit organized, what we're going to cover today are going to be the project limits. The project limits are going to be defining the areas where the improvements will be taking place. Then we have the project design methodology, which is just going to explain briefly the recommendations, and then we'll go into further details with the recommendations, which will be a breakdown of the proposed solutions. And the segments to be improved will really specify the specific street segments and locations that these devices will be implemented on. And then we'll have a schedule overview, a project timeline, and key milestones. And then we'll go into the key next steps, which would be what really happens after this meeting. And then you'll have your opportunity to ask questions and provide input in the Q&A section that'll be mediated by our communications department. So these are a few of the devices that we'll be going over today, which will be the raised intersection, the traffic circle, mini roundabout, and raised crosswalks. We also will be implementing speed tables and speed humps at these various locations as well. So our design process was meant to really adhere to ensuring that everything is data driven and both effective and inclusive of the community support and input. So this is why we follow this project design methodology. Preliminarily, we received some field concepts, and then we go into preliminary designs, which will be the 30% plans that typically are not yet just early stage plans that are created just to detail the proposed improvements. And then we have to gather community input from residents and city officials and city staff. And this is where we are right now. We are currently in this community meeting to gather that input. And we've already sent out the 30% design to their input as well. Our final be finalized through integration of comments through city staff and comments also provided by the county. They will ultimately be the governing body that will approve of the permit set of this traffic calming design plan in order for us to go to construction with it. At this point, I'll turn this meeting over to Lochner. We'll go over the proposed improvements in detail.
Good evening, everyone. Glad you all can make it. The traffic calming improvement sites goes as follows. We have a total of 18 speed tables, 3 raised crosswalks, 2 traffic circles, 1 raised intersection, and 2 speed humps. Our first location is at Chase Avenue between West 41st Street and West 44th Street. This is a 30-mile-per-hour road, and the proposed improvements are the raised crosswalks. The raised crosswalks will constitute of an elevated platform that would allow pedestrians to safely cross the street. The proposed design elevates the street approximately 6 inches to be flush with the proposed curb and gutter. New signing and paving markings will also be provided to alert motorists as well as pedestrians to the new raised crossings. Existing parking will not be affected aside from a handicap parking space located near Innovative School of Temple Beth Shalom. The impacted handicap parking space is to be relocated 20 feet to the south of its existing location. And to prevent any type of drainage issues with the proposed raised crosswalks, we are proposing a channel gutter to convey the water to its appropriate inlets. Our next location is Prairie Avenue between West 42nd Street and West 44th Street. This is a 30-mile-per-hour road that also constitutes of a raised crosswalk. As you can see in this one, we have connecting sidewalks, which will allow pedestrians to better cross the street and as well as have no impacts to the bicycle lanes. Our next location is Post Avenue between West 42nd Street and West 47th Street. And this is a 25-mile-per-hour road, and it constitutes of 4 speed tables. One between West 42nd Street and 43rd Street, West 44th Street and 45th Street, West 45th Street and 46th Street, and West 46th Street and 47th Street. Speed table / speed humps will constitute an elevated road 4 inches at designated locations for traffic calming purposes. New signing and pavement marking will also be provided to alert motorists to the new raised speed tables / speed humps, as well as no existing bicycle parking / bicycle lane is to be affected or modified based on our proposed location. Our next location is Royal Palm Avenue between West 41st Street and West 47th Street. This one constitutes of several speed tables between West 41st Street and West 42nd Street, West 43rd Street and West 44th Street, West 44th Street and West 45th Street, West 45th Street and West 46th Street, and then West 46th Street and West 47th Street. And to prevent any drainage issues with the proposed speed tables / speed humps, we are sloping the outside edge of the speed tables / speed humps 6 inches from the edge of pavement or bicycle lane. This will prevent any ponding associated with the raised pavement. Our next location is Sheridan Street between West 41st Street and West 46th Street. This is a 25-mile-per-hour road that's going to constitute of 3 speed tables and 1 speed hump. And they're located between West 41st Street and West 42nd Street, West 43rd Street and West 44th Street, West 44th Street and West 45th Street, and West 45th Street and West 46th Street, which is also named Pine Tree Drive. And again, as you can see, there is no parking being affected, as well as no bicycle lanes being affected. As you can see, though, there's some parking that current residents use in the swale area. This is where we have gone with the compromise of going of a speed hump, which is instead of giving you a flat 6-foot, a flat 10-foot surface to just 2 6-foot raised edges. And obviously, new signing and pavement marking will be provided to alert all motorists of the incoming traffic calming device. Our next location is West 42nd Street between Sheridan Avenue and Pine Tree Drive. This would only constitute of a speed hump. This area, although not clearly shown here due to ongoing construction, as we develop the project, we'll get a newer survey that would allow us to understand how the building is being developed and to better locate the speed hump to have less adverse effects on any type of proposed driveways, entrances to a garage, or parking. Our next location is West 41st Street between Sheridan Avenue and Pine Tree Drive. This also only constitutes of one speed table. This one, although it seems like we are affecting a driveway, we have meticulously placed it where you will still have access to the driveway. We will just have to slim the throat a bit and better allocate it for the speed table. Our next location is West 45th Street between Prairie Avenue and Post Avenue. This one, again, only constitutes of one speed table as shown here. To the south of it, this although it seems like we're blocking driveways, this currently is used by residents as a parking. It's not a designated parking, so this would be some coordination with the residents to better allocate the area and to come up with a good compromise. Our next location is West 45th Street between Royal Palm Avenue and Sheridan Avenue. Again, this is only one speed table located near the intersection where it has the least amount of impacts to any driveways or any parking. Our next location is West 45th Street between Sheridan Avenue and Pine Tree Drive. Again, only one speed table is located there. And that one, we have seen no issues with any parking or any residential amenities. Our next location is West 46th Street between Post Avenue and Royal Palm Avenue, I'm sorry. Again, is constituted of one speed table as shown there. Our next location is West 46th Street between Royal Palm Avenue and Sheridan Avenue / Pine Tree Drive. This, again, is only one speed table as shown there. Our next proposed improvements is at the intersection of Royal Palm Avenue and West 44th Street. This constitutes a raised intersection. The raised intersection will constitute the raising of the intersection approximately 6 inches and be flush with the proposed curb and gutter areas as shown. New pedestrian crossing with pavers showing the new pathways will be added as part of the improvements. Due to the restrictions of water conveyance, new inlets will be added and connecting them to the existing drainage system for appropriate water flow. New signing and pavement marking will also be provided to alert motorists to the new raised intersection. As well as we will also be milling and resurfacing the road to better provide pavement markings and the bicycle lanes. Our next intersection or improvement is at Sheridan Avenue and West 43rd Street. This is a traffic circle. The traffic circle will consist of a raised traffic circle approximately 25 to 30 feet in diameter. This will constitute of new pedestrian crossings to accommodate the traffic circle and roundabout criteria and for the safety of all pedestrians. New signing and pavement markings will be provided to alert motorists of the new traffic circle pattern. And from this design, there is no drainage impact that will occur with a new layout. Another intersection improvement is located at Sheridan Avenue and West 45th Street. This is constitute of another traffic circle, and this is a 4-legged traffic circle with new crosswalks located to adhere to the new roundabout criteria. Now I pass it over to Franklin.
You're still on mute.
Thank you. Now we'll go over the project schedule. Let's go over the project schedule and go over a few key timeline and milestones that we have. So we're currently working towards 60% design by March 2025. This phase involves refining the preliminary design concepts, incorporating all the feedback that we received through this meeting and through city staff comments and county comments. And then further detailing the proposed improvements based off of the surveying process that we'll be receiving from the residents. From there, we'll finalize 100% construction designs by September of 2025, and we'll ensure all technical specifications are in place And then we'll receive final signed and sealed plans by November of 2025. Then we'll then go into this construction process, a contractor selection process, and that will take approximately 89 days, which will bring us to February of 2026, which will then be when we will select our contractor and issue a notice to proceed. So these are the key next steps. As we move forward, here are just a couple of key next steps that will basically give us the next part of this project. So first, we'll be gathering neighborhood feedback, which is what's currently going on today. We need your input. It's very crucial to our final design for us to move forward. The next step, which would be what we'll be doing next week, which would be sending out the surveys or ballots to the affected property owners. So each one of you that own a property within the Orchard Park neighborhood will receive a survey or ballot for the general survey. And then those who actually are directly affected, where you know those devices are either adjacent to your property, if you have a speed table. So the speed table would be the property to the either to the west or to the either to the west or to the east or to the north or to the south of that specific traffic calming device. And at intersections, it'll be the residents that are on the four corners of the respective intersection. So that would be the raised intersections, or even the traffic circles. Those will constitute as the four corners of those specific intersections. After we receive those surveys, we'll then refine the concepts, and based on those inputs, we have to receive 100% congruency to move forward with a specific traffic calming device that that the residents vote against or vote for. If we do not receive 100% congruency with those specific devices, we would then either go back to the design consultant and see where we can maybe readjust the traffic calming device, or if that specific device is optimal for that location, we would then either have to remove it, which would then bring down the effectiveness of the traffic calming effort, or if it is deemed to be crucial for the traffic calming effort, we would then proceed with a possible sponsor through city commission to overturn the residents' opposition. But that's a worst case scenario. Typically, given that the residents are keen to having this done, we're looking forward to a positive feedback. So after that, we'll then go into the final design and permitting process. That goes through approval through the county. And once we receive all of the county approvals, we then are able to engage a contractor for construction. And that will be, again, in February 2026 is when we anticipate the commencement of construction. So now I'll turn it back over to our communications team, Gabriella, for our Q&A section.
Thank you, Franklin. I know that we covered a lot of information, so we're going to open up the floor now for public comment. So we kindly ask that any questions or comments that you direct to the project team, if you can please keep them under 2 minutes, just so that we can get through as many as we possibly can. If you're joining us tonight via the Zoom app, you can use the raise your hand icon, which is located at the bottom of your screen. If you're calling into tonight's meeting, please dial *9 to raise your hand. And then once we prompt you, dial *6 to unmute yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our first caller, Karen Revo. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Yes, Karen Revo. I live on Prairie. I have several questions and suggestions. One is, can we all get a copy of what you just showed us, since it's the first time? So I hope that can all be sent to us. Number two, Gabriella, how many people are on the call?
So there are 21 people on the call.
21. Okay. Questions for the team. You don't have to answer them necessarily tonight. Why are Prairie and Chase 30 miles an hour, where our schools are, and the other, the neighborhoods are are 25. So I want to understand that. That's one question. Number two, how did you choose the 2 traffic circles on Sheridan? And number three, I had heard there was going to be a traffic circle in what I think is the most dangerous intersection in our neighborhood, which is right at Must Park with 44th meeting Chase and Prairie. And why is there no speed tables or humps on 47? So that's a lot of questions to be answered.
Gabby, I could answer at least 2 of those questions. With respect to the traffic circle on 44th and Prairie, Ms. Revo, that is a standalone project, is separate and apart from this one. That is what we call phase 1 of the traffic calming project in the Orchard Park neighborhood. That project, it's at 100% design plans at the moment. It is proposing a traffic circle at that very same intersection and also 2 speed humps to the north and south of it. Unfortunately, there is also a public works underground project that is currently in design, that is advancing design, which is one of their critical needs projects that was approved by our city commission. So the intent of that particular traffic circle is that we are going to be coordinating the construction of both projects of the traffic circle there, also with the underground work. So that piece of the project is going to be coordinated with that. This is why, as part of this overall neighborhood, it was not mentioned here. Now, with respect to 47th Street, at the time that the traffic study was done, 47th Street it's a collector road per the roadway classification. And at the time that the traffic study was completed, the county would not allow the cities to install traffic calming devices on collector roads. Thankfully, and for the benefit of our city, we've been able to negotiate a interlocal agreement with the county that allows the city to install traffic calming devices on collector roads as long as they're operated and maintained by the city, which is 47th Street. It's city right of way, so 47th Street qualifies for that. As you may recall, we do have an item at FERC that is talking about that specific location, 47th Street. If I remember correctly, Commissioner Suarez is taking the lead with that item. So we are moving forward, and we will be incorporating traffic calming devices. At this time, we're looking at speed cushions to provide a temporary solution, but then ultimately, as part of this project, will be more permanent solutions. Now, with regards to the speed limits, up until recently, those 2 streets were considered collector roads, and with another agreement that we have with the county allows the city to lower the speed limits on local roads. As long as they're local roads, we could lower the speed limits to 25 miles an hour, which is why the internal roadways within the neighborhood are at 25 miles an hour. We were able to, through the process, reclassify those 2 avenues to local roads. So we'll be moving forward and working in conjunction with the county to lower those speed limits and make them consistent throughout the neighborhood. With regards to the traffic circle, I'll defer to our consultant to see what was the basis for that recommendation.
Thank you.
Well, for the 2 locations of the traffic circles, based on the study, it was dedicated at these 2 locations spread apart as they are. It was the best way for traffic to slow down. For the 3-legged traffic circle, we noticed that a lot of people, since there was no stop conditions or anything in that area, people would take that as a tunnel and just speed through it. The 3-legged intersection adds a bit of a traffic calming, since it's not a straight through. The only thing we had to do there, we had to actually widen a little bit to the inside. I'm sorry, to the outside, just so we could create a deflection for the motorist. Since if we were to move it farther to the standalone leg, it would have just created another corridor with no stoppage for the through traffic. And for the other one, again, based on our traffic study, it seemed like the best possible location.
If I could add one thing, in the traffic study, we also noticed that a lot of people were taking Sheridan Avenue since they were trying to avoid Pine Tree Drive, probably for traffic volumes, and they will basically defer to Sheridan Avenue. So there was a lot of traffic volume that was coming through that road, as well as excessive speeding that was noted by the residents back when they surveyed the neighborhood in 2021, I believe, and it was noted as a very high risk area for some of the reasons that we've talked about. So hopefully that brought some clarification.
And Ms. Revo, just to answer your first question with regards to sending you a copy of the presentation, we're going to be preparing a post-meeting recap notice where we'll share information on tonight's discussion via a link. So you'll be able to rewatch the presentation. You'll have a hard copy of the presentation as well. And then we'll be sharing additional information regarding the survey that Franklin was speaking about earlier. I saw that you raised your hand again. I don't know if we've answered all your questions or you had any additional feedback for us.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Excellent.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Karen, I believe you also asked about the difference between a speed table and a speed hump. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I can answer that for you real quick.
She did.
Yeah, they're pretty similar in nature. A speed table usually just has a longer flat section at the top. We usually go for speed humps if there's a small footprint that needs to be used, kind of like at West 42nd, that there's like a bunch of driveways and entries and exits to a building, and we need a smaller footprint. But speed tables are kind of elongated speed humps that have a flat foot, a flat top section, I guess is the best way to go about it.
Thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller. Bill, if you can please state your full name, unmute yourself there, and ask your question or comment.
Yeah, my name is Bill Platt. I'm a resident of Sheridan Avenue since 1985. Thank you for those two speed tables. One's going to be right at my corner, and I welcome it. It was discussed in November 2021, as Mr. Fernandez alluded to. And all the other traffic calming devices that you're proposing, I agree 100%. Of course, you're going to send that survey out. The only thing we mentioned that November 2021, when this all started to be discussed at a Zoom meeting then in November. Can we update the schedule at all? And when is the next update meeting for us, like the one we're having tonight, so that we can keep on track of things so they don't fall by the wayside? See if there are any problems, what the holdups are, or hopefully that the schedule's been expedited. And I can't stress enough how Sheridan, Mr. Fernandez, you hit it right on the head. It is becoming a shortcut for Pine Tree Drive, and they have a straight fly through to 42nd Street to that stop sign on Sheridan. So this is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Bill. We'll definitely keep in touch, and then once new dates become available for when the project team has new updates, we'll definitely be sure to communicate that with the rest of the neighborhood. But we definitely appreciate your feedback and comments. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller, Mark Gelman. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Hi, Mark Gelman, Prairie Avenue. Karen asked many of the questions that I was going to ask, but in particular, I was wondering if you could put up the first slide. That one did show an overall image of the entire project. And I know you said you're going to send this. No, maybe it isn't the first slide. There was a slide that had the image.
It was slide 8.
Yep, page 8, I believe.
There we go. So can we get an enlarged version of this when you send out the entire set of slides to all of us, when you post this, so that we can see the entire overall project and have a better view of it?
Yes, we could definitely include that as part of the survey, especially the neighborhood-wide survey to obtain concurrence. Something that to mention about the survey, that it is The county does require 2/3 of approval or concurrence from the neighborhood in order to proceed. So it is very imperative that the majority of the neighborhood is in favor of the project. So we'll make sure to include that as part of the survey ballot.
Well, Neil, you just said you need 2/3. Well, on this call, we only have 21 people. How many?
Two-thirds of the responses received.
2/3 of the responses, not 2/3 of the residents of Orchard Park.
No, 2/3 of responses received.
Okay, thank you. I don't have an additional question now. Jill, do you have one?
Hi, my name is Jill Turner. I live with Mark on Prairie Avenue. I don't see what you put on speed tables or speed humps on Prairie Avenue on this.
So that's the one.
That's it.
So that's
Sure.
the-
Prairie Avenue, it's also part of the standalone, what we're calling it the phase one, that it's already at 100% design. And the traffic circle, as I may have mentioned earlier, that the construction of that particular, there's a traffic circle on 44th and Prairie and a speed table to the north and to the south of the traffic circle. But that circle is being constructed once the underground construction that Public Works is doing gets implemented. Otherwise, the circle would get installed and would have to get disturbed for the underground construction, because the majority of the work that Public Works has to do happens to be at that same intersection. So we're coordinating both projects. That's why it's not shown on this particular slide.
Okay.
This presentation.
Is this where the crosswalk is that goes to where the bicycles are?
No, Jill, no, you're
This
not.
spot?
Wait, no, I think you may be correct. Yes, it goes to the city bikes that
Oh,
are.
that's
Okay,
that
and
one.
then north of
Correct.
that is where the circle will be, the intersection.
Correct.
Correct.
Thank you.
So there will be a speed table at 42nd and Prairie where the crosswalk is that goes to the school?
It's a little bit confusing, I guess, if you don't have a big map, but there will be a raised crosswalk that we're showing right here, both to the east and to the west, one on Chase and one on Prairie, basically on either side of the city bikes that are in that middle portion. And then in the standalone project, you're gonna have the roundabout with some speed tables, I believe.
Speed
a little
table
bit.
to the north and to the south of the roundabout.
I'm referring to the south of where you're talking about at 42nd, where 42nd comes into Prairie. That has crosswalks from both the north and south side of 42nd to get to the school. I thought that was going to be a raised speed table.
There's nothing there.
It's not showing. You see where-
Yes. I don't believe that's part of this project. I don't think we have a design.
And we could, and Mr. Bill, we could definitely look into that a little further. I know the county, usually it's not open to having traffic calming devices within school zones due to the school buses, but this is definitely a conversation that we can have and try to find some sort of solution for that intersection. But thank you for that feedback.
What do you have over at Nautilus? You've got a speed table and a circle right in front of the school.
Correct. We'll do that research and we can get back to you with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the questions, and I'll definitely share my email at the end so that, Mark, you can shoot me an email and we'll keep in touch so that I can provide you that enlarged version of slide 8. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller, Tav Furniture. If you can please state your full name there and your question or comment.
Hi, thank you. My name is Chaya Krinsky. I live on Pine Tree. So thank you so much for this. This is actually my first time joining, and I had a few questions. I think it was Bill, the second person that raised their hand, expressed concern about Sheridan. I guess this is the whole point of this meeting. Sheridan becoming and other streets becoming a cut-through block where things are looking almost like a shortcut. I take that shortcut every day because I sit in 45 minutes of traffic otherwise going 1 mile from the Hebrew Academy to my home on Pine Tree. So I'm curious as to why this would not create more traffic, because the congestion that is happening on Pine Tree is mind blowing. We had a situation with one of my children a few weeks ago, sitting in that traffic, that it became a medical emergency, and I had to walk and leave my car in the middle of the road because there was no way of moving because of the new restrictions with all of the new things that were done on Pine Tree, so that you can't even U-turn your car. So I'm wondering why this would not create more traffic on Sheridan Avenue specifically, with adding speed bumps, which the purpose of them is to slow traffic. Why would this not create more traffic and more problems in an overly congested neighborhood that's just becoming impossible?
So
Hey,
That's my first question, I guess. My most important question is that, just trying to understand why we're working on slowing traffic when we should be working on getting rid of the crazy traffic, which is why Sheridan and other blocks are having to be used right now. So is that something actively happening? I mean, the traffic today was one of the worst we've ever experienced at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
we would have to get back to you on that. It's not so much about stopping traffic, it's about slowing traffic through residential areas. But we do understand your concern. The thing with the beach is it's very landlocked to what to all the routes that they could take. This is more of a trying to prevent any motorist slash pedestrian accidents or incidents, which tends to happen when you start cutting through streets. But your concern is duly noted, and I'm sure O'Neill and Gassan would will look into it.
Thank you. Just because I want to really get to the root problem as a community as to why these blocks are having to be used, which is because of the crazy problems happening on Pine Tree during traffic hours. 45 minutes in a car with children who've been in school for 9 hours, and having to take 1 mile was 45 minutes for the past week every day. There's no doubt that all of us are using Sheridan because we want to get home and the children want to get home. So I'd like to just make sure that we are actually tackling the issue as to why those blocks are having to be used.
You're on mute.
No, that's my whole comment. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's, as you can imagine, it's becoming quite frustrating for the parents who have to do that route every day.
Yes, thank you for your comment. We will look into that and we'll respond to you usually later on when if you want it, you can send it out as an email or to send it to Gabby, and we can respond to it at a later time.
Yeah, I'll definitely
It's a
show.
different issue as and the issue that is about traffic, and it's everywhere in Miami Beach. It's not just at Pine Tree Drive. We have Alton Road, we have 41st Street, we have 195. That blocks everybody back to this situation. So it's a little bit bigger problem than what we're trying to solve in this meeting. This meeting is for the traffic calming in this neighborhood, and we're trying to slow people down in this area and also with traffic calming devices installed. Sometimes whenever you're routing people down through this road, you will end up having longer time to get from point A to point B, because it's lower traffic and lower speed than if you're gonna be even if you're stuck in traffic on Pine Tree Drive.
Noted. I know that it's not just Pine Tree, and it happens on Alton and many other blocks. I just want to make sure this is not going to further congest the area. That's all.
Thank you both, and thank you, Gassan. I'm going to turn it over now to our next caller, Bonnie Crabtree. If you can please unmute yourself there and state your question or comment.
Okay, hi. Bonnie Crabtree, I live on Royal Palm. It's a two-part question. Is this being coordinated with the 41st Street pilot? Because that pilot is pushing the cars off of 41st Street into our neighborhood. And they're speeding through the neighborhood in order to avoid the congestion. So that's one part of the question. And the other, it was interesting to hear the Pine Tree because My experience has been that Pine Tree is pretty much of a raceway most of the day, and it's dangerous. The speed level that cars come at least north to south on Pine Tree. So is that area also being addressed with these calmings?
I can answer that question. So thank you for your comment. Pine Tree Drive is a different agency that owns and maintains that road. It's the county that owns that. We've been in constant contact with them, and there's different people that are talking about Pine Tree Drive. Again, Pine Tree Drive is the limit. The western part of Pine Tree Drive is our limit. We're not going over Pine Tree Drive in order to do any traffic calming in this project. Our limits are inside on the west of Pine Tree Drive. So you can send us again if you have any comments about Pine Tree Drive. We will be happy to answer them at a different time. I will try to keep this one for the inside of Orchard Park neighborhood. In regards to the other questions you had, which one was it?
I believe it was the connection.
Oh, was it being, sorry.
Sorry, I was on mute again, about the 41st Street pilot
The
pushing.
41st
cars
Street
to the neighborhood.
pilot is still a pilot. It's not there for the entirety of this. By the time that this continues and finishing design, I'm not sure if that is going to be in place. This is something also different that we're still doing a study on it, and we're still thinking about it. Again, I know that they are trying to detour people on 42nd Street to come down and everything. So again, that project is a pilot. It's for a limited time. It's not fully 100% established yet. We don't know how the outcome is going to happen. We're still studying that area, and we're still thinking about other options on 41st Street to avoid having additional traffic in Orchard Park.
But to answer your question, Ms. Crabtree, yes, it is being coordinated. We are also the ones that have been taking the lead with our police department on the pilot program. It is right now the direction received from the city commission is a up to 6 months pilot program. So chances are that unless it gets extended, it has a sunset date. But like Hassan said, we are analyzing the pilot. We are analyzing the effects that the pilot is having on the neighborhood, like you mentioned. Pushing the traffic onto the neighborhood. So yes, the short answer is yes, it's being coordinated. Both projects are being coordinated together.
And Bonnie, just to add some extra information to your first question about Pine Tree Drive, we actually had a separate meeting yesterday for a traffic calming project that is taking place on Pine Tree to sort of curb some of that behavior that you're seeing on the road. I can definitely connect with you after the call. I'll share my email so that you can share your contact with me, and I'll provide you some information and a bit of a recap from that meeting that was yesterday evening. I'm going to turn it over now to Bill. I believe you had a follow-up for us there.
I did, thank you. I wanted to point out there is a that should be considered. There's a no through trucks sign on the southwest corner of Sheridan and 46th Street. I would respectfully request that be kept, because in addition to the cars taking the shortcut, now the trucks are taking the shortcut down Sheridan. And the lady that talked about Sheridan becoming worse with traffic. As we pointed out at that meeting in November 2021, the traffic was horrible then with the shortcuts, and the drivers pay attention to the apps, the driver's apps. So Waze tells them to take the shortcut down Sheridan, and it's clear sailing, and the speeding is out of control. People are there's one house that put a little green man with that red flag, because they just moved in and they have little kids and animals. So it's just, please stick with the speed tables. Thank you again so much.
Thank you very much for those comments. I'm going to turn it over to our next caller, Jennifer Gosson. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, Jennifer Gostin, I live on Royal Palm. I want to echo what Bonnie said about Pine Tree being a speedway. I walk with my daughter from the JCC home twice a week, and we are terrified for our lives at the intersection at 42nd and Pine Tree every night. It's like cars are going 45, 50 right by you. I missed the beginning part of the presentation. Is it possible to bring the speed limit of the neighborhood? Is it currently 30 miles an hour? Do you know? For roadways in the neighborhood, what is the speed limit in the neighborhood?
Some streets are 25 miles an hour. Prairie and Chase, if I'm not mistaken, they are 30 miles an hour. If I'm 25 miles an hour is most of the roads in that area. I think Chase is 30 and Prairie in some sections might be 30 and some sections are 25.
Yeah, I think Royal Palm is 30 most of the way. It just seems kind of high when you have a bike lane on that, you have a bike lane the whole way on that street, and we have a lot of pedestrians. You could still have a total fatality at 30 miles an hour, especially when a lot of these cars are going 40 usually. So my recommendation would probably be lowering the speed limit in this area to 20 for every street, because then maybe people will go 30 and maybe you save a life. I don't know. But the speeding in this neighborhood is such a huge problem, and we're always, on the lookout and terrified of the cars. So I'm happy to see this project. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the feedback. I'm going to turn it back to Mark Gelman. I believe you had a follow-up for the team here.
Unmuted. Yes, I do have a follow-up. I went back and looked at the proposed plan that we had from our meeting in March of 2022, and that draft plan, if I just look at the area on Prairie Avenue from 42nd up to the intersection at 44th where Chase comes in, and that plan showed the intersection at 42nd and Prairie, right across from North Beach Elementary, as a raised intersection. Then there was a speed table at about halfway up the block and another raised intersection before you come to the traffic circle. All of those things have been removed on the current plan. And currently what happens is people traveling north will stop at the stop sign at 42nd, and then they will gun it like it's a drag strip until they can reach the stop sign at 44th. Yesterday, the school officer was continuously issuing traffic tickets to people either speeding or running the stop sign. It is imperative that something be done from 42nd north to 44th to slow traffic down. I don't know why these things have been removed from the current plan from what was done in 2022. Can anyone address Prairie Avenue between 42nd and 44th and why the raised intersection, the speed tables have been removed?
Okay, I'm not 100% sure. I was not here at the time of 2021. I need to look a little bit further back into the history of why it was removed. But basically, if I'm from my experience and speaking with the county multiple times, if during the study and we are doing something in the area that they do not agree on it, they will tell us to remove it from our study. Now, in regards to school zones, I just want to mention something. School zones are very critical, and I know that you mentioned on 47th Street or Nautilus have speed tables or something, raised intersections, raised crosswalks, raised items on near an intersection. If it's not a full raised intersection, it could be a raised crosswalk cannot be happening on an intersection. It will need to be in a mid-block, somewhere in between where it doesn't have any turning movements, because if you have a big truck or a bus or somebody trailing their boat, it can flip or tip and cause more problems for safety reasons. The second thing in regards to that, if the county does not, and also we have certain items that kind of change the entire drainage problem. We'll have drainage upgrades. We'll have different things that can kind of go a little bit further up. It can be in another project that's coming up. at a later time. If there's something that's coming from Public Works that are doing something in that area, that could be a part of that project. But most likely I will look into that and provide an answer at a later time. But from my experience in front of a school, traffic calming devices are very limited.
Okay, please look into at least putting in a speed table halfway up the block to slow traffic down.
We do have that. It's in the other project, phase 1 that O'Neill mentioned with the traffic circle.
Yes.
And whenever the drainage project that is happening on 44th Street,
Mm-hmm.
the stormwater drain system was there's an issue with it, so they had to do an emergency project to fix that problem, and that's one of the questions an anonymous attendee has asked. So there is a drainage problem on 44th Street. If we build the traffic calming device now, it's gonna get damaged and rebuilt later on.
But I'm referring to something.
Twice, we're doing it one time.
I'm referring to something south of 44th.
Yes. 44th, between 44th and 43rd, around that time, around that area, there is a speed hump.
Oh, it doesn't show that on your current.
It's in a different project.
It's on a different project. Can we get a copy of that project, please?
Yeah, we can send it up. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for the follow-up question. I'm going to turn it over now to the next caller, Stefano Santoro. If you can please unmute yourself and state your question or comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, hi. So I live on Sheridan. Just wanted to comment that indeed I've seen personally very close T-bones at the intersection of 45th and Sheridan. Many times I even chased a couple of people that ran the stop sign that only goes east and west. So I just wanted to note that there's no question that the traffic circles work, because I've seen it on 47th Street just east of Alton, and I go by there all the time and I see how cars react and it's obviously slow down for it. So I just wanted again to just comment that I am all for them. And also I've rarely seen congestion on Sheridan, even now that you guys are trying this pilot thing. And obviously I think most of the congestion happens probably on 42nd and 43rd, but I've never seen Sheridan backed up from the light at Pine Tree and 46th. So I don't think that the traffic circles will do anything but serve their purpose of slowing people down that are really just flying on Sheridan and, you know, prevent people from running the stop sign and causing an accident.
Thank you very much for those comments. I'm going to turn it over to our final caller. I have Karen Revo. I believe you had a follow-up for the team. So if you could please just unmute yourself and state your question or.
Yes. So, you know, we're going to have one shot at getting this right. And what is missing, and I think you've already talked about this, is you've got to do a better analysis of Prairie Avenue all the way down, because, and I live on Prairie, but Prairie is people are speeding. And when you can go from 44th, the circle where Musk Park is, you can go all the way to 47th. People run the stop sign at 40, I think it's 45th and 46th. I see it all the time. You have no speed tables on Prairie. That would be a big omission in this project, to not have some speed mitigation on Prairie. Also, the proposed speed, I guess, speed table at 4293 Prairie. So the crosswalk to Musk Park has a stoplight. You guys know that, right? You push the light and the kids all cross. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? Yes. But the speed, the same thing going from the middle to Prairie is just going to be a speed table. You should consider putting some, if you can, some flashing lights on that area, because this is the school. And I take my grandchildren across this and people fly through it, even if it's marked. Maybe having it raised will help, but take a really good look at what's going on Prairie. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments. I'm going to share my screen so that way we can all see our contact information. And if there's any follow-up questions, you have our information to share that with us. So give me 1 second while I pull that up. Okay, so to download a copy of the presentation, to rewatch the meeting, sign up to receive our project updates, you can scan that QR code that's located on the bottom right corner of your screen. Just fill out the information that we need in order for you to sign up for our database and systems. We're going to be sharing additional information in a post-meeting recap as well that'll indicate everything that you need to know as far as the project survey goes. We'll send that recap, if not tomorrow, early next week, so please stay tuned for that information. If you had any follow-up questions for our team, our contact information is on the bottom left corner of your screen. You can email me at gabrielagonzalez@miamibeachfl.gov. So we thank everyone for participating. If there's no additional comments from the team on the call, then we're going to wrap this up, and we appreciate all of the feedback that we've received. And have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabby.